You're listening to Podcast PXN, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo. Let's do this. What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 113. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado Roshan at Roro, the host of Large Popcorn and video essayist Christian Macias at ISO Christian. And we are retiring the pride of PlayStation. Goodbye, Sean Babiak. We don't even know if you're alive somewhere out there. But anyways, and we are bringing in our new fourth co-host, and that is that other Halo fan, Gage at Gilbo Biggins. Welcome, everyone.
Heck yeah.
We did it.
What
We're here.
Up?
Avengers assemble. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. Just search Podcast PXN and you will find us on there, as well as twitch.tv/podcastpxn and Twitter as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is our Xbox themed news, just in time for the 20th anniversary of both Halo and Xbox. But first, the show always starts with the PXN news of the week, so let's go ahead and jump right in. Our quick bites that Christian has formally called these beautiful little bite-sized news stories. Gage, if you aren't familiar, we'll just go over this for you since you're the official new co-host. You can just discuss this if you want to. You don't have to. These are just little bites, so feel free.
Little nuggets, one might say.
Little nuggets.
Okay.
A little apple cheese.
Yes. Our first quick bite, new Xbox 20th anniversary controller, which is like a translucent design. I thought this was kind of cool. It has one of Phil Spencer's lines inside of the battery pack of the controller, which I thought was really cool. It says, "When everybody plays, we all win." And he has his signature on the back cover of the battery case as well, which I just thought that was super cool. Nice little nod there to Phil Spencer, and a very cool line. You know, cool guy.
Did you manage to get your hands on one, Dan? Did you buy one? If I had an Xbox, I'd go broke, dude. They continue to kill with the controller game.
It's funny you say that, Christian, because well, I have to show the audience on this camera. There is the actual thing that says, "When everybody plays, we all win." And then there's the controller. Yes, beautiful. So I did get one. Very cool.
All those games, and you're still playing with my heart, man.
I'm going to start some controller as well.
I'm going to start the theme of the show, which is Dan and I having a fight night. With they got to retire the translucent. It doesn't look good. Sorry.
No.
It doesn't.
What?
Whoa. Matte black all the way, baby. Matte black all the way. No.
This is
Gabe,
fire.
On your first episode as a co-host, I get to give you this. Congratulations.
Yes. Yes. That's an L for people listening.
L for large brain. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's the bit. Nice. Anyways, moving on, more Phil Spencer. For some reason, this is weirdly like a quick bite episode of Phil Spencer, I just realized. But anyways, Phil Spencer has all but confirmed that Elder Scrolls 6 will be a Xbox console exclusive, guys. I thought this was interesting. He essentially said that he doesn't see Elder Scrolls 6 leaving his platforms. He said, "It's not about punishing any other platform. Like, I fundamentally believe all the platforms can continue to grow. But in order to be on Xbox, I want us to be able to bring the full, complete package of what we have." So, obviously, I wasn't surprised by this because, obviously, like, they didn't, as I said when they acquired Bethesda, and many of us said it when they acquired Bethesda, they didn't acquire them to not make their games exclusive. So I didn't really see it too much of a surprise.
Yep, summed it up perfectly. I didn't. Nice to have like confirmation, seemingly confirmation of it, but yeah, no surprise to me either.
Yeah.
Moving into the next little quick bite, another Phil Spencer little tidbit, which apparently he was going on a tirade with all kinds of things to say. But he was asked about NFT games, and he had a little bit of a thing to say. He said, "What I'd say today on NFT, all up, is I think there's a lot of speculation and experimentation that's happening, and that some of the creative that I see today feels more exploitative than about entertainment." Gage, don't you dare go into what I think you're going to do. But no, I'm kidding. You can. But yeah, no, I think that's a great point. Like what we were talking about when we were just talking about NFTs, a week or two weeks ago, whenever that was.
Too many times, Dan.
Too many times.
Too many weeks.
It's kind of like what are NFTs for? Like I haven't seen that, that experience or whatever that would make me say, oh, I need this in my, next Halo or whatever. So yeah.
Is it? I'm looking at the comments, and this is why I like Uncle Phil. Amazing. I didn't know that people call Phil Spencer Uncle Phil. That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty base take from him. It continues to be like a really cool dude in the industry.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I agree.
I'm secretly looking at Gage, waiting to see, but I guess he'll wait for later in the podcast to go into what he's gonna.
I was gonna get into that later, but I will say his comment. I had a different joke that I jabbed at Dan earlier, but I will say his comment that NFTs are more exploitative than entertainment. I feel like that is also a good summary for like live service games in general nowadays, where it's just like, and we're gonna get into this with Halo. I'm gonna double back to this. It seems like games are art, and we forget that they're art because they're so infused with business nowadays, and that monetizing is just weeded its way in there. So, Phil, I agree, but that also applies to more than just NFTs there, Big Daddy Phil.
Big Daddy Phil. Big Daddy Uncle Phil.
Papa Phil.
Papa
I'm so
Phil.
excited to hear you guys talk about
Daddy
Halo. Oh, man.
Bro, I don't think you want to see that, actually.
No?
That's good.
Oh, man.
All right, moving on to our last little quick bite, guys. Saints Row has been announced to be delayed to August 2022, away from the absurd February that we're getting right now. And guys, I don't remember actually what I said about this, and I was hoping you guys would have a better memory. Who was right about this? Because I remember we talked about what games we thought was going to get delayed, and I can't remember who said that Saints Row was going to get delayed. I legit can't remember.
It was me.
Gage, you weren't even on that episode. Get out of here.
I don't remember. I have a
either.
feeling it wasn't me, though. So if it wasn't me,
None of us think it was us.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
I
can't remember. It sounds plausible that I would say it, but I don't remember. So
Can we, as one last goodbye, can we give this one to Sean and say that he said it?
sure. Yeah.
Except you were right.
Except Sean wasn't even on that episode either, because that was after episode 100, and that's the last episode he's appeared in. So,
We'll give it to Sean.
oh, jeez. All right, Sean.
Can we like get something else delayed? Maybe Horizon, so I can play Elden Ring for like 50 hours.
Sure. Why not? As long as it's not Halo Infinite, and at this point, I don't think it's getting delayed.
Dan was right. Not only did he prove me wrong, prove me wrong, but it came out earlier than what I thought. So
yeah, technically, yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
Moving into the news portion of our PXN News of the Week, guys. This is going to be a very long one, so that's why I have like not many news stories here, because I feel like we're going to have a lot to dig into here in the topic of the show as well. So Activision's board of directors announced earlier in the week that they were standing behind Bobby Kotick, who is the Activision Blizzard CEO. And it was pretty troubling, especially amid the reports of what was going on, that there was a new report claiming that Activision's Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick knew about alleged sexual assault and harassment allegations within company-owned studios, but did not disclose this information to the company's board. And the same report also states that Jen O'Neill, who was recently made co-head of Blizzard before announcing her departure, has previously experienced harassment at the company and was also paid less than her male counterpart, Mike Ybarra, and had said that she was being tokenized by the company. Ooh, not good. After we were just applauding them like what last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, and God, this is not good at all.
I hate it because you know what? Literally last week, I made a point of saying, you know what? Credit to Bobby for doing for lowering his salary to the lowest legal amount in the state. But now what I realize is that was a clever little deflect of him trying to take any sort of scrutiny off of himself. So it's a smart move, but also you're a piece of shit, Bob. Sorry.
Yeah, I had to walk back my comments as well. I think Dan was the harshest. I think I was probably the nicest. I was like, Bobby, wow, you surprised me.
Yeah.
Like you're setting an example, and now I'm reading that like you gave death threats for a person wanting to out their harassers at work. And it's like, dude, you need. I tweeted this: fire him, fine him, jail him, either permutation. All of them, if you can, it'll probably be the best. But at the bare minimum, he needs to go.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't think there should be any coming back from this for Bobby. I do believe that people deserve forgiveness and stuff like that. But in this special circumstance, I don't think it's warranted, nor is it deserved for Bobby to get that, especially for all the history that seems to be coming up, not only in this situation, but in previous. There's a lot of accounts that are coming up with all that he knew about these incidents that were happening in his company, and whether he was involved in them or not, he is the CEO of the company, so he should be the one taking the head or the charge of making sure these incidences are taken care of quickly and appropriately. And like the HR department, again, he's not the HR department, but he is the leader of the company, so he has to make sure that those things are being dealt with properly. So the fact that he wasn't doing it and he was also making it worse for other people is just ridiculous. And and there's more that obviously Dan is probably going to touch on, but yes,
there is much more here. So there was a nice little thread on Twitter from Ben Fritz, who I guess he's a West Coast bureau chief for U.S. News, Wall Street Journal. I couldn't actually read the actual article because you have to subscribe, stupid subscriptions. But luckily, he broke it down in a bunch of tweets here. So bear with me here. He says a woman who worked at Call of Duty Studio Sledgehammer said that she was raped twice by her supervisor after she was pressured to drink heavily. She reported the incidents to HR, but the company took no action. Let's see. Also, we have in August, Activision named Jen O'Neill the first female co-head of World of Warcraft studio Blizzard. The next month, she sent an internal email criticizing the company's top management and recounting her own experiences of harassment, which if you just promoted this woman into a top position and she's talking about experiences of harassment that she's encountered, like, don't you think you should be like listening to that? Like that's literally like your top person at the one of your top two people at the company, and she's reporting the same things that people all throughout the company are reporting. Like, why was nothing done? And Bobby knew about all of this. Like, what is happening? Also, after the co-head of Activision's Treyarch studio was accused of sexual harassment, HR recommended he be fired, but Bobby Kotick intervened to keep him. Why? No idea. That makes no sense. That's horrible in of itself. Last year, about 30 women who worked in Activision's esports division sent a letter to their supervisors saying female employees had experienced numerous instances of harassment. Bobby Kotick himself has been accused of mistreating women who work for him, including telling a former assistant in a voicemail that he would have her killed.
Dude.
Yeah.
How is he not in jail?
Yeah. And if these are to be true, which I believe they are, that's what I mean, where it's like, this is a situation where I don't think he deserves forgiveness, where the things that he's doing are just so asinine and evil that people who do these things shouldn't be in a position of power anymore. And again, Dan, I'm sure you're going to touch on a lot of this stuff as we go through it, but I'm glad that there's certain people in the industry who are that in those positions that are speaking out against it, and hopefully it starts a domino effect of other big people saying like, hey, we don't want to work with you, or at least don't stand for what you're doing. Right. But it's ridiculous. It's insane.
How is the board backing this? that doesn't process in my mind. Like, how are they doubling down on Bobby staying?
I'm guessing business. They're looking at the numbers in the spreadsheets and Activision flourishing under Bobby's reign. We'll call it now.
That's true.
But Ro, I want to touch on something that Ro you're saying, which I really love the sentiment behind it. But there is a total difference between forgiveness and consequence. So he's somebody who is in a position of actual authority, who has now displayed an inability to fairly and ethically use that authority. So forgiveness is a whole other thing. There needs to be consequence of that action, and then afterwards, if you change and actually become a decent person, then absolutely. I don't think anyone's beyond forgiveness, or well, not anyone, but that's a whole other conversation. Anyways, most people are not beyond forgiveness, but that needs to come after. You need to answer for the shit that you did, and the shit that you didn't do, and you need to pay the consequences for that, because the buck has to stop somewhere. And if he's trying to pass it off that like he didn't know, like you're the CEO. You absolutely either did know or chose not to know. Either way, the buck stops with you, and it's about time that you get a little boot in the butt, a little boot in the booty.
Yep.
Not good. And just to close out his comments, Activision has received more than 500 reports from current and former employees alleging harassment, sexual assault, bullying, pay disparities, and other issues, according to people familiar with the matter. The Activision spokeswoman said the company is investigating the claims using teams from both inside and outside the company. One of the issues that I have with that is there is a Activision employee group that is trying to essentially demand things of Activision higher ups to get them to actually make positive changes and get things, turned around for the better for the company. And they are actually speaking out about these things and saying, like, we need an independent reviewer to look over the entire company structure and what's going on, HR, everything, and get them to evaluate what needs to change. Because if Activision is going out and hiring someone, I know, from experiences I've had at my job, for instance, I know like things that have happened that, people cater certain things to benefit themselves, whereas you can't do that because you're affecting things because of, it benefiting you. Whereas bringing someone in from the outside, they have no opinion, no side on the matter, they have no objective, I guess, no ulterior motives. They're just looking to see what needs to change. And I absolutely agree with them. And they have staged a walkout as well multiple times, and they're demanding the resignation of Bobby Kotick and the board's two longest-serving directors, Brian Kelly and Robert Morgado, to retire by December 31st. And these shareholders are also looking for... Oh, I'm sorry. That's the shareholders that are asking for his resignation, but also the employees are as well. But the shareholders sent the letter to the board of directors this morning. These shareholders, there's over 5 million shares that make up this group of people that are saying this, and I'm sure they're not the only ones that are wanting this to happen and demanding change, because, I mean, it's absurd. So, it's I don't know. I just don't. Something needs to happen, and Bobby Kotick needs to be out of there faster than you can say anything. I mean,
get upper management out of there. Happy to see. I don't know. I don't see it in the maybe it's in the I don't see it here. Happy to see today shared that PlayStation reached out and was like, "What are you gonna do about this?"
Yeah,
like even internally within like the here in like the games industry, people are like, "This doesn't fly.
Yeah.
Like you can't do this."
Now, what I love that PlayStation did that. However, I need them to also put their money where their mouth is and not back Call of Duty with this huge marketing push. Like they also have to have some responsibility themselves, because I guarantee you they're paying Activision a ton of money for that Call of Duty marketing partnership every year that Microsoft had for so many years. And it's like, you have to put your money where your mouth is as well. I love that Jim Ryan put out that statement and was condoning everything that is happening, but also like, put your flag forward. We're not marketing your games from now until something happens. Like, you've got to make change, or we're, not going to do business.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. The same goes for this group of shareholders as well, because I read into that. I thought that maybe was a huge tide turning, that this group of shareholders sent this letter to the board of directors. But apparently, I guess they only equal up to like 0.6% of like Activision's worth. And apparently they've also been hypercritical of Activision for like years, this same group. So, that's awesome that they sent that letter, but if they don't change, are you guys selling your stock? Or are you going to stick around and reap the rewards? What's going on here? So I think there's quite a few companies and groups of people that need to put their foot down when it comes to Activision, because we all kind of allow it if nobody puts their foot down. If we all line up to get the next Call of Duty, if we all line up to get the next Overwatch, then it's kind of a moot point, really.
Yeah. And that's completely fair. And I think we've had conversations on this podcast before about it. And like, I thought Blizzard was making solid steps, and obviously they're the same company, Activision Blizzard, but like, you also have Blizzard is kind of its own thing, but they're still together. And I felt like Blizzard was making strides to make their workplace better, but Activision was doing nothing. And I think this is kind of, I guess, roared its ugly head here with the man at the top, which, just to point this out, I've hated the man since I've met the man, because he freaking just loves money and doesn't love creativity. He doesn't care if Call of Duty is the most creative game in the world. He just cares that it makes him hundreds of millions of dollars every year. So, not good. But we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but like, the whole Jen O'Neill thing is very troubling with me as well, because it's like, you brought her in with Mike Ybarra to be essentially co-leads for Blizzard and Activision Blizzard, and you're paying them two different salaries, which doesn't even make sense, because they're equally splitting the duties, and it just literally doesn't make sense. And they tried to act like good guy Activision when she left and said, "Oh, we're going to donate this money," and then it turns out it was all just a bullshit ploy.
Yeah, and I think I also read that it wasn't until that she decided to leave, or was saying that she was going to leave, that they decided like, oh, maybe we should start paying her the appropriate amount. It's like, why weren't you doing that when she was actually working for you? I don't know. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
You can't reform this stuff. They gotta go. They're very much biased, and like, it's time for them to leave.
And don't you dare let fucking Bobby pick his line of successors, because that also defeats the whole purpose. He doesn't get to hand it off to somebody. The board needs to fire him, and then they need to either pick somebody or promote somebody from within the company. Yeah, that also is something that I don't want to see.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, how does this keep getting worse, man? Week after week.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy that we were talking positively, and then now it's like, it's just, I don't know, not good.
Yeah,
not good. Yeah, I think that pretty well sums up our thoughts on Activision. Greedy, disgusting. Bobby Kotick needs to go.
Yucky.
New.
Moving into a little bit more lighthearted, except it's not really lighthearted, but
Speaking of yucky.
Speaking of yucky, Far Cry 7 is apparently reportedly a live service game similar to Assassin's Creed Infinity, which has also been rumored as a live service game. This is coming from GameSpot, and apparently Far Cry boss Dan Hay, who is the franchise's executive producer for the past decade, is leaving Ubisoft amid reports that the next game in the series will adopt a live service approach similar to what's rumored for Assassin's Creed Infinity. His last day at Ubisoft will be November 12th, which was obviously 5 days ago now, but there is no word on what he's doing next, etc., etc. This is another example of Ubisoft. What the frick are you doing, guys? Like, Far Cry, Assassin's Creed, these are single-player games. Why are we making them into live services? Like, it doesn't make sense whatsoever. Like, let's keep the games what they are, and it just makes me even more sad when we finally get Splinter Cell. Like, what is that going to be? Is that going to be...
You know what it's going to be. I told you all what it was going to be months ago. I told you all what it was going to be months ago.
I don't want you to be right.
Open world, looter shooter, gear score, all that.
Let's go.
It's going to happen. Let's fucking go, boys. I want to level up Sam Fisher to level 30. Let's go.
No.
Oh, man.
It's happening.
I can't help but think about Assassin's Creed Valhalla's completion rate, which came out a while ago. 19.8%.
Yikes.
I'm not saying this is the only issue with Ubisoft games, like their length, because people do love how like meaty Valhalla was. Like it was like a critically adored game. Like that's not a slight, the length of the game. But there's something to be said about like at some point I lose kind of the quality and interest when games turn into like jobs. So for like these titles to turn into live service games, I don't know who wants this from their Far Cry games or from their Assassin's Creed games. Like nobody wants to work to play Far Cry or work to play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I don't know what Ubisoft is thinking, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a weird one to shift into that specific genre as well. I feel like there's games that people are like, okay, let's like Pokemon. I think is a great example where like, okay, let's shake it up a bit. Let's this is the same formula that we've had for years. We want something a little bit different, and maybe Pokemon Arceus is going to be something different for the series. Far Cry, I don't feel is a genre that needs to be shaken up. I feel like people play Far Cry for that formula, and they want a Far Cry game to feel like all the Far Cries that came before it. And it switching to such a genre that is so icky and yucky, as we said before at the beginning of this topic, that people aren't usually excited to jump into a live service game with the bad history that we've gotten with so many. In my opinion, excluding Destiny, I think that's one of the few that's done a really good job with that format. But And I thought about it, I was like, I really like live service games. Wait, no, I don't. I just really like Destiny. There's like barely any other games that fall into that live service genre that I actually enjoy playing. And I don't know if Far Cry is going to be that that one for me either.
Just wait until you finish a raid in the new Far Cry 7 and you get an NFT as your reward.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they should have led with that, Christian. Now I'm all
So I've got two dogs in this fight because I've played every Far Cry at launch since Far Cry 2. I love Far Cry. I've got a signed copy of Far Cry 3 from Michael Mando. I met him at Fan Expo. Awesome guy. I love him. And I'm also a huge Ghost Recon fan. And let me tell you, Shan, no, Far Cry fans do not want a live service game. In fact, every major criticism of every Far Cry game since 3 has been, oh, you guys have really good bad guys and really good stories. We'd like to see more story, please. And every game has gotten farther and farther away from that. And at the same time, Ghost Recon, every single Ghost Recon game that comes out, hey, we'd like it to be more tactical than what it used to be. And every game that comes out, well, how did you say GTA clone? Because we can do that. No, nobody wants that. And now we have got Ghost Recon Frontlines, which is so far removed from what Ghost Recon is, it's not even funny. So Ubisoft, I don't think cares at all about what the community wants, and it's not like a singular incident. This is a pattern across multiple of their franchises. So I don't think they care, and I don't think anything's going to happen, unfortunately, because their games they make a lot of the games on the same engine. They've got a lot of proprietary stuff. I don't think, even if half the people that normally would buy the games, I think that's enough to keep them going and keep them doing this rinse and repeat model that they've got going on.
Like, there's already so much content in Far Cry games. Like, it's a huge open world with so many places to explore and so many missions and all these story beats and all of this. And, like, why do we need a live service on top of that? Like, I don't need that. I just want to experience the open world. I want to, maybe skin some animals, except Far Cry 6 is kind of not that. It doesn't have that, but you kind of just walk over animals and you pick up things. I'm just like, what happened to the whole skinning the animal and all that stuff? But anyways, yeah, we just want Far Cry to be Far Cry. We don't want it to be Destiny, as much as we love Destiny. But I don't know. Moving on, guys. Our next story, Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy Definitive Edition, has had some issues since launch. Another thing that probably doesn't hold up well from our previous conversations, talking about how we were like excited about how they were able to revitalize this and make it look new, but not new. And then now there's just, you
guys really fell for it, huh?
It was a really good trailer, Gage.
It was.
I can't remember. It was before 100. Whatever I was last on before the 100. I told you guys it doesn't make any sense. Who are these games for? Why is it half new and half old? I tried to tell you. I tried to be the voice of reason, and you didn't listen to me. And look where we are.
Yeah.
Where that got us.
I can't believe I was excited for the show in the pre-show. I'm just sad now.
Sorry, Christian. We should have had some more lighthearted stories in here. I promise they'll be in the topic of the show somewhere.
It's okay.
Except Gage is going to try to bring me down in there, but I mean, I'll fight back. Yeah.
I'm still laughing at the video of if you wiggle the left stick while you're driving left and right a bunch, your car gets bigger for some reason.
Nice.
Video.
Yeah. So apparently there's been a number of complaints ranging from the quality of the remasters to not being able to play the PC version at all. There's been a lot of quality concerns, and like some of them are like the faces. Like, my God, it looks like an alien on some of these. Like, I'm just like, that's not the same person at all. Even there's a community post, actually. There's a mod for, I think, San Andreas that a community member made a like a up-res mod or whatever of the original game, and they were comparing the mod to the definitive edition, and it was like, why are we not downloading and playing the mod? Because the mod looks phenomenal, and the definitive edition looks like alien garbage. Like, the aliens kidnapped San Andreas and dropped it back down, garbled up. It is horrible. I mean, not good.
I mean, at some point, it's not even quality concern. There's one video here in the article you linked that I saw on Twitter as well. The video of CJ on the bike going through the rain. That it's unplayable. You can't see what's in front of you.
Yeah. And like the Switch version is horrible. Don't buy the Switch version if you're gonna buy any version.
30 frames apparently. Like, that's unplayable too. That's crazy.
What are the frames? I'm sorry.
It's like below. Is it below 15? Like, at some point, like it dips below 15 or just above 15.
Yeah,
how do you? That's crazy.
It's consistently around 15. It's like, that's not playable. That's not playable.
Nuts.
Yeah, and also apparently the Rockstar Games launcher completely removed the game from PC because there was files that were apparently unintentionally included. As soon as I saw this tweet, guys, I thought of Hot Coffee immediately. I'm like, did they really forget that those files were in there? And apparently, so there is some licensing stuff, I think, in there that they left in there, like music and stuff. But also Hot Coffee stuff was left in there, and that's why they removed it. How does that happen? That's only like literally the most controversial like thing to ever happen in the last 20 years of video games. Like,
now, I have a question for you guys. Is it still controversial? Think about other games that have come out. Unless I'm forgetting something about Hot Coffee, it seems like, from what I remember, it was two willing participants having a good time. From what I remember. I honestly can't remember. And I'm thinking of games like Cyberpunk and like The Witcher, and I'm like, is it still controversial?
I guess not as much. Yeah, I guess not as much today, but it definitely was back in the day.
I'm honestly surprised they didn't reverse that change and put it in there, because now the industry has caught up with what's acceptable and what's not. Because that was back in like the Fox News Mass Effect days, where there's no tolerance for anything like that.
Yeah.
Do
you believe they showed a boob in Mass Effect?
God, that's not what Fox News said.
Wait.
They called it a porn simulator or something
no.
like that.
Yeah.
You gotta watch. If you haven't seen that, you've got to watch it. It is one of the best things.
Yeah, because I think they brought Jeff Keighley on, right? And he was trying to defend it.
And he was sitting there rolling his eyes the entire time because they're like, you can choose what sexual positions and he's like, that's not in any of the game. It's a 15-second cutscene. That's not a thing. Like, it's one of the best interviews ever.
Are there boobs in Mass Effect though?
No, not in the original. I don't think.
Just side. I think just
Side.
side, dude. Yeah.
Encourage us to
I'm not
continue
gonna
playing the series. Like,
I'm surprised
lie
you
to
even.
us.
I'm surprised you bought the remastered trilogy before finding out if Hot Coffee's in there, Christian.
GTA? I didn't buy this. I was vehemently against it. I don't. I'm not gonna play this again. I've already had my time with it.
Fair enough.
Yes, I didn't buy it either, thankfully. And I played San Andreas for about 10 minutes on Game Pass, since it is in Game Pass. And I literally just did it to do the cheat code YYXBALL down up for the jet.
Right.
And I realized they changed the fucking button for, instead of left trigger, it's left bumper. So I was like, this has to work. It doesn't work. And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, left bumper, not left trigger. All right. Well, whatever.
Did it at least play well from what you played on Game Pass? Did it feel good to play?
Yeah, it felt fine. Yeah, but it was just like when I got back into it, I was like, "Why am I doing this? I don't even know."
You've already played it. You've already played it a lot.
Yeah, and my backlog's already insane, especially with certain game
Master
stealth
Chief
dropping.
Collection.
A certain game stealth dropping on Monday or Tuesday. What day is it? I don't
Monday.
know. What day? Yeah, Monday. Thank you. Anyways, moving on, guys, to the Game Awards nominations. So there's a little bit of controversy here from my perspective and from other people in the industry that have been talking about this. However, the Game Awards nominees for Game of the Year, I'll read these out. There's a ton here, and if you guys want to highlight something, feel free, absolutely. But the Game of the Year nominees are Deathloop from Arcane, It Takes Two from Hazelight Studios, Metroid Dread from Nintendo/Mercury Steam, Psychonauts 2 from Double Fine, Xbox Game Studios, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Insomniac Games, Resident Evil Village, Capcom, and that's it. Hello? We missing one game here? The highest rated game of the year?
We're missing two games.
We're missing quite a few.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
We're missing
Okay.
at least two that I can think of.
So, Christian, tell me what game is missing that you thought of right away.
No, I actually want to hear yours first because obviously
okay.
you're referring to Forza, but I want to hear why it's worthy of Game of the Year contention. I'm legit curious.
So here's my opinion on it. In my opinion, so if a game is at 92/9.2, whatever way you want to look at it, on Metacritic, OpenCritic, every kind of critic platform out there, it is literally the highest rated game of the year, and it's not on the Game of the Year list. That to me is a problem. Like, setting aside my personal opinions on Forza Horizon 5, I think that's a problem if the highest rated game that's literally available this year isn't on that list. That just from a pure numbers perspective. However, what I will say is I don't think it's fair that the industry as a whole treats racing games and even sports games, to that matter, as like almost different entities. Like they set them aside as like, that's, this thing. That's not, no, that can't be Game of the Year. That's just a racing game, or that's just a sports game. Because over the years, there's been fantastic sports games. Like their NFL Blitz back in the day, that was, crazy. And it was just something unexpected that no one expected before, and it was such a unique and creative idea. And like I don't think it's fair for people to say like this game can't be Game of the Year because of the genre that it's in, because Forza Horizon 5 is a really fantastic game, and it's I don't think it's fair to the developers who are working on this game, because they worked their asses off to put out an amazing game, and I feel like they don't get the credit for it.
Yeah, I think the issue is with that is that you described it as well, is that it is kind of more of a niche title. Like it is kind of still, even though it is like very good at being I don't want to reduce it to just a sports game either, because it's more than that, right? And it's obviously it was critically acclaimed, but like, are people just not considering it as game of the year because they don't see it like, you know, they don't see see it as like best narrative or like, I mean, art design would probably be giving it to it as well, but I don't know.
So
you know it's hard.
I agree with your niche comment. Like, it is a very niche thing. However, like, there's been niche games that have been in contention before. Like, you know, for instance, all the Soulsborne games, I would argue, are very niche.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say more niche than Forza, absolutely.
Right. Like,
yeah, Sekiro rocks.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And like, I was the year that Sekiro won, I was like, yes, I completely understand why people love this game. It isn't my type of game, but it absolutely deserves to be in the Game of the Year nominations, and it won Game of the Year, which it deserved. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't feel like whether it's a niche or not, like, it should still get the, you know, recognition that it deserves for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, everybody here, that say you just couldn't add Forza to the Game of the Year list. I haven't played a lot of these games here yet. Which one would you replace Forza with? Like, which one would you remove to insert Forza, do you think?
It's easy. Psychonauts 2, in my opinion. Okay. But I haven't played Psychonauts 2, so it's also not fair for me to say that. But I don't think that Psychonauts 2 was as well received as Forza like that at the end of the day. Like, I mean, it's a great game.
It felt so dated. I was struggling to enjoy my time with it. I tried going back and I played a few hours of it, but like, it just felt too much like of a game stuck in the old previous generation. So I think I agree with Dan. I think Forza definitely deserves to be in the contention of Game of the Year.
I've got my personal Gage answer and I've got my Larry David answer. So which one do you want first?
Larry David?
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's a made-up award. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Larry David.
But honestly, yeah, it is strange. I think a good way to solve all this would to be a bit more transparent on how this whole selection process works. Like, who's picking the pool, and then do you have a different group of people who pick from that pool? Who decides the final vote? Who decides what the pool is? Is there a reason for how many numbers of slots you guys have chosen? Does it have to be 5? Can it be 6? Can it be 7? There's a lot of stuff that I think they could do to sort of just at least let people understand, because you don't have to agree with it. Like, there's a lot of people that didn't agree with The Last of Us Part 2 winning Game of the Year. But you know, that doesn't mean because people don't like the same thing as you, that doesn't mean that they're wrong. So even if you don't agree with it, as long as we can understand how they're making these decisions, because I do agree that Forza Horizon is definitely a niche game, not as niche as some other winners from the past, but it is niche. Not everybody likes racing games. I don't like sports games. I don't play any sports games. But is that the reason why? Like, what is your criteria? How do you guys decide this? And then if they do have some sort of magical answer that makes sense, then we can all go, okay, at least we now understand. If not, then we can push for this. The only other aspect I would talk about just from my time being in school for videography and stuff like that is I don't know how long it takes them to... I don't know when their cutoff period is for when games are released. If they're preparing their sizzle reels and all of the editing that goes into production and all that stuff, there may be like a early November cutoff where it's like we need to start prepping film now and editing and all this stuff now. So sorry, like we can't just throw together a Forza sizzle reel for Game of the Year. So that also could be a part in it as well.
I will say that the list is weird. I honestly don't think it's super representative of the year of games we had. Like, some of these aren't the strongest. I don't know. To me, like when I see this list, yeah, Where's Life is Strange? That was a fantastic game. When I see this list, I think like journos. I don't know. Game journos like are a little bit tired to me sometimes in terms of their opinion, and that seems like a dunk. It's not trying to be a dunk. It's just like I understand why Deathloop made it, but to me, like when that game came out after a week, nobody else talked about it again. It Takes Two, I heard like nobody talk about It Takes Two in terms of Game of the Year discussions at all the entire time. That to me seems like a take. Like, oh yeah, I remember It Takes Two. This came out this year. I'll throw that in there. So Resident Evil Village, that game came out and was like divisive, if I remember correctly. So also, I almost forgot from earlier. Where's Returnal? When I think of like game of the year, I
my second
understand why.
pick.
Look, I understand why it's not here. It's totally fine. I would have loved to see it, but I get it. Actually, I would have loved to see the Forgotten City in this, but like, I don't know. When I think of like what deserves like a game of the year, like what is elite, masterful in terms of like game development, I don't know. I thought Returnal fit the bill pretty well. But
Well,
I get it.
It's all anecdotal because it all depends on who we follow on social media. But to me, Returnal was talked about a lot longer than most of these other games. Like Returnal, I don't have, again, as we talked about, I don't have the PS5. I can't fucking play it. But I heard about it and people were hyped about it at Returnal, like the month leading up to release, and then it felt like a good month and a half after. Like people were really digging this game. So I was shocked when I didn't see Returnal on here. And like It Takes Two, everybody liked it. I heard a lot of good things about it. I never once heard anybody talk about, oh, this is game of the year contender. Like, no, this is a really fun game to play with your significant other. Like that's pretty much the extent of what I heard. So I would like to know, how do you guys pick this? What is your criteria? Who decides this? Because it seems like you guys are just throwing things at a dartboard and seeing what lands.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, Gid, with it depends on who you follow. I did hear people talk It Takes Two like that, like, oh, this is game of the year for me.
Oh, really?
And
got it.
yeah,
Okay.
it is just who, and just as you said earlier, it's like just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean that they're technically wrong. It is a video game after all. It's all subjective at the end of the day. But it like, and for Returnal, like, it really is the people you follow, because I didn't see a lot of people talking about it for me. And
Okay, fair enough.
But I do know, because it came up again with the update, like when it got updated recently, people were talking about it like that. They're like, oh my God, I remember this game was so good. This should be game of the year sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into it. So I agree with that. But Forza, yeah. Forza, man.
Bro, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can we agree that the best indie category is absolute? Like, this is the only one I will say is absolutely trash. Like you guys did not play indies this year, and that is clear.
I actually didn't look at it yet. Let me see. You guys can go ahead. I'll go.
I can read it to you.
Okay, sweet.
12 minutes.
Uh-oh.
Death's Door, which I agree.
That's
Death's Door is
good
very
game.
good. Yeah. Kana, I sure. Inscription. Yes.
I heard that.
Loop Hero.
That's pretty good.
Loop Hero.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, where's like Chicory? Where's Forgotten City?
Yeah. But it's who you follow. It's who are these people? Who are deciding Gage is right? Who's deciding?
I was like, yes, best indie.
Yeah, I don't know.
I need to talk to you.
This is definitely a weird year for a lot of categories, I think.
Yeah.
So, Christian, I'm going to steal Rose's question from earlier and say, theoretically, if Forza Horizon 5 had replaced Psychonauts 2 on this Game of the Year list, what would Returnal have replaced on this list?
Oh God. I would replace it with the other Loop game, which would be Deathloop.
Okay.
But I don't know. People really like Deathloop, so I understand. I have tons of issues with it, but
okay.
I still enjoyed it.
Interesting. And also, just a little shout out there. Don't blame Jeff for this, Jeff Keighley, because he doesn't even pick the nominees for this. He has like I think a board of people from news outlets, which that's the part where it's like, all right, could you just tell us who is on this board, like exactly?
Well, Dan, I'd pump the brakes on that, because just before we started the show, I saw Jeff Keighley tweet. He said, "I pick all the games myself, and I support Bobby Kotick." So I'm.
Oh no!
No, he
did.
didn't.
Yeah. So,
no, he
Dan,
didn't.
I want to look into that.
Gage, get out of here with that bull crap. He did not say that. Moving on. Our last news story, guys. Overshadowed, and Gage brought this to us. Overshadowed by other news in the industry, NVIDIA has suffered another leak in a now deleted post on GitHub User Waxizoma, I'm going to guess that's right. I don't know. Posted,
No idea.
posted data revealing possible release windows for upcoming titles coming to PC. Notable mentions include Ghost of Tsushima, February 2022, Returnal, April 2022, Horizon Forbidden West, September 2022, Redfall, June 2022, Contraband, November 2022, Avowed, December 2022, Perfect Dark, December 2022, Fable, October 2023, Elder Scrolls 6, January 2024, and Indiana Jones, January 2024. So I picked out 2 games here that I'm just a little sus on, and like it makes me question the validity, because Perfect Dark, there is no way in hell that game is coming out in December 2022. Because first off, they just entered a partnership like not even a month or 2 ago with Crystal Dynamics to work on that game. That game's still very early in development. Even when they announced that game, they said that we're still very early in development. I think that game is at least fall 2023, but probably 2024 until we get Perfect Dark. So that makes me question this, like, is this legit? And Elder Scrolls 6. Starfield's coming fall 2022. We know that already, and that's if it doesn't get delayed. So we're saying a little over a year later, we're getting Elder Scrolls 6. I don't see that. I don't see that at all.
There's a little bit of context I want to add to this. The actual list had specific days as well. So this stuff here is very clearly placeholder. So, for example, Avowed and Perfect Dark in the database leak, they were listed one day after each other. They're obviously not going to do that. But so I think what this is that if it is legit, which it very well may not be, but if it is legit, I think this is, for whatever red tape they have to go through, they're like, okay, just give us a date, throw it up there. So this may not even be down to the month or down to the season, but I think this might be a general idea of where, they're far out. They're not even thinking about specific dates, but they might have a general idea of when they're throwing out. And a lot of this stuff does line up. And the only reason I brought it up is that this had, this leaked before PlayStation announced God of War coming to PC, and it had God of War in January of 2022. So that was the one thing where I was like, okay, how would you know that if this leak happened before that? So yeah, I think it's totally, if it is real, it's total placeholder, like December, end of the year, whatever. Put that date down. I do think we could get Perfect Dark in 2022, only for the fact that we don't know the scale of the game. Perfect Dark was the first game I played as a kid. It shouldn't have been, but it was. I love Perfect Dark with all my heart. But I don't know if this is going to be to the scale that we think it's going to be. So if it is just a linear first-person shooter, I think 2022 is possible. Probably not, but I could see them aiming for that.
The only reason why I say that I don't agree with what you're saying about the scope of Perfect Dark is because Microsoft literally labeled their studio as a quadruple A studio, like building this just massively talented studio in Santa Monica. Like, I feel like they wouldn't have, marketed it as such a, big studio that they're creating without, putting the backing behind it to make a expansive game. I don't know.
That could be it. Although, as we've learned, executives don't always tell the truth sometimes. Sometimes they lie. Sometimes they say things that aren't true. I mean, it could be, the quadruple A thing was really dumb, and I'm glad they've walked back on that since, because that's just stupid. But, that could be many things. It could mean something like, the first Last of Us is an incredible game. It's a very linear game. It's very, in terms of gameplay mechanics, it's very limited. I think it's perfect. I absolutely love it. But it's not an expansive game. It is very much, these are the moveset that your character can do. Play through this intricately crafted world, and start to finish, there you go. So Perfect Dark could very well be one of those things. And if they started, now obviously I know they formed the studio in 2018, so it's a fresh start. But if they started there and they got help from Crystal Dynamics, 6 months ago now, I think it's possible. I definitely think it's possible.
That's true. I mean, Death Stranding came out relatively quickly, considering they were a brand new studio. They just used
True.
Guerrilla's software, and they had help from that team. So,
and you could not tell that game was made in 3 years because it looks amazing. It looks immaculate, right? And that's Kojima on his own with a little bit of help from PlayStation, as opposed to a studio built from the ground up to be the next flagship studio. So that's the thing. There's a lot of secrecy with this project. We don't know how much money they've thrown at it. We know it's a relatively small team in terms of what they're doing, but if they have the best of the best and they're giving them a blank check, then this thing could be ready to go. It could be coming out sooner than we think. I also think Redfall is probably pretty accurate. I think start of the summer for Redfall is probably what's going to happen. They already announced that it's summer 2022. Yeah. And Elder Scrolls 6, I mean, again, we don't really know what's going on with that. Do they have a separate team that's already started on it? Probably. I think 2024 is pretty reasonable for that, and Indiana Jones. I don't think January for both of them. Again, I think that's the placeholder coming out. I think maybe Elder Scrolls is November, very end of January 2024, and maybe Indiana Jones is a summer thing. But
I will take that bet with you, Gage, right now, that Elder Scrolls 6 will not come out before fall 2024. No way.
All right, see you in 3 years.
Oh, gosh. Todd Howard. Sorry, go ahead, Christian.
Big one for me is Horizon coming out like a few months after it releases on PlayStation. That's a new precedent for them to be porting if it is true, porting a recently released console game on PC pretty quickly. So that's pretty cool to see.
I would love for them to work towards that. And I think Jim Ryan does want to work towards that. I think a lot of the interviews he's given recently, he is itching. And I think he's realized, God bless them, I think he's realized that, okay, if we release our games on PC, it's not going to cut into our console sales because there are people who are very happy on PC and who don't want to buy a PlayStation just to play PlayStation games. But if they had the option to play it on their system that's tuned to the way they like it, then they'll probably just buy the game, and that's just extra money in your pocket. So I think we are going to see that gap between PlayStation release and PC release get shorter and shorter and shorter until it is day and day, which is just better for everybody.
Yeah, agreed.
Inshallah.
Keurig Craft is in the chat. Sup, guys? What's up, Keurig? Thank you for joining us. We're about to dive into what you got for me. I will just start off here. Saturday, I experienced Xbox Fan Fest trivia, which it was actually a very cool experience. So last year, to give you a background, I joined Xbox Fan Fest Trivia. It was their first thing they've ever done, a digital live event while COVID was happening, to essentially have trivia for different things, and you could earn rewards by progressing through the trivia rounds. Last year, it did not work at all. It broke completely. They had to give gift cards to everyone who was involved because it literally didn't function. This year, it actually functioned great. And there was about a little over 3,000 people that were in this trivia. And I made it to the top 100 of trivia, which I was like, holy shit, there's no way. There was actually a question on there that I completely guessed on. I didn't know the answer, and I got it right, and only 3% of the people got it right. So that was probably the reason why I made it. But yeah, I got $85 in Xbox Gear Shop gift cards. So yeah, more of this is coming. More gear is coming once I spend that $85. It was just such a cool experience to kind of do that with a bunch of fans and have a cool digital event. I thought that was fun. But
that is fun.
Guys, the most important thing, on Monday, we were treated with a celebration stream, obviously, which we'll talk about a little bit here in the topic of the show. And a little game called Halo Infinite released its entire multiplayer on Monday. And I took half a day off work because I was like, I'll watch the stream. The stream ended up being all right. But I literally got to play half a day of Halo. And I was like, all right, sick. So Halo Infinite, absolutely amazing. I cannot believe that they released the entire multiplayer. Obviously, they're labeling it as a beta until release on December 8th, but they're leaving it open until December 8th. You get all your progression that carries over to December 8th on launch day, which is awesome. And yeah, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. There are problems with it, which we will detail when we get into the topic of the show. But yeah, I'm very impressed by everything, how smooth it is. Like for the most part, their networking hasn't had any issues whatsoever, which is a stark contrast to Halo, the Master Chief Collection, and even Halo 5 had some issues in the beginning. But yeah, it's so good. And Christian has a background of Halo as he's pretending to shoot.
I'm here. I'm here, Dan. I've downloaded it. Let's squat up.
Christian, there's one problem with your screenshot. That's Halo Reach, Christian.
I'm sorry, what's that big ring behind me?
That is Halo.
That's a Halo, Dan. That's a Halo.
That is a Halo Reach map. In fact, that is the Blood Gulch remake inside of Forge World on Halo Reach, Christian. You can't get anything by me because I'm a Halo fan to heart. Anyways.
Cortana. I'm so horny.
The biggest...
you sound just like Halo.
The biggest casualty to Halo Infinite dropping, guys, is Battlefield 2042, because I didn't even pre-order the game, and this ended up happening, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm not playing Battlefield, because literally I'm spending all my time on Halo multiplayer, and Battlefield's a multiplayer-only game now, so I'm like, sorry, Battlefield.
Dude, and when you compare it to the fact that, like, Battlefield has been relatively buggy, as most Battlefield launches usually are, and that people aren't super content with the way that game seems to be launching soon, compared to how like Halo, I haven't played it, spoilers I guess, plays like really good and people are like actually really enjoying it. Like, yeah, absolutely, Dan, you're right. Like RIP Battlefield.
This is fall of when was the last time Battlefield released against Call of Duty? And what year was that again? I don't know.
It would have been 2015, I think.
The same year as Titanfall 2.
Yeah, it's that all over again for them, unfortunately. What's happening? What's happening?
I'm just like, I just realized what you have on your thing here. So, Ro, what you got for me?
I saw that too.
Well, let me start with Forza Horizon 5, just to keep you waiting a little bit longer. I'm enjoying Forza Horizon a lot still. I noticed that I'm being very casual this year in 2021. There's not a lot of narrative games, not a lot of RPGs that I've dived deep into. I've been playing like my Animal Crossings, my indies, of course, my Life is Stranges, and Forza just adds to that list where I'm just having a good time, just zoning out and playing a fun game. And Forza Horizon 5 is one of those games. Having a blast, customizing my cars, racing against people, trying to beat Dan's time every time I see him on the leaderboard. Gotta beat Dan. So that's always been fun. And yes, Dan, I am playing Halo Infinite multiplayer as well. When that came out, I knew that I didn't play the 2 test flights that came out. So I'm like, I better play the actual thing now that it's here, or Dan may very well fly to Canada and strangle me. So I'm like, okay, I'll download it and I'll play it. And I'm having a blast. It's really fun. And as Gage alluded to, and as Dan said, we're going to talk about the issues when we get there in topic of the show. But the core gameplay of Halo has always been good. The multiplayer has always been good. I guess as to a Halo fan like Dan, you may say Halo 5's multiplayer wasn't that great, but I don't know. I wasn't there. But I'm having a great time with Halo Infinite. Yeah.
Halo 5 multiplayer was great.
It was really not. It was really not.
Campaign was terrible.
Good.
Gage is wrong.
Well, I've heard mixed things about that multiplayer, and I'm having a blast with Infinite. Like, grappling hook is so fun. I've just seen, like, when we talk about Battlefield 2042 and how excited we were leading up to that, like, all the crazy stunts that people are going to do in that game. The amount of crazy stuff that I've seen people do with the grappling hook is on another level. Yeah. It looks so fun. I saw somebody today, like, there was somebody coming down the hill on a warthog, and then they grappled onto the warthog, and they kicked the driver out of the warthog, drove off the map, and then grappled the edge of the cliff to launch themselves back up, but the people inside the cart just like fell to their deaths. Like, that is amazing. You can't make that stuff up. And I'm excited to have some of those moments for myself. So I'm having a blast with it right now. Yeah.
Christian, what you got for me? Oh, sorry.
I have a question for the game real quick on Halo. Does it play as good as Splitgate?
Christian, you know what? We're skipping Christian this week. No,
okay. I have an actual, like, okay. For what you got for me, I'll answer why I'm not playing Halo. Is it like I'm sorry, I've been super busy, so I haven't had a chance to download it yet. And then I'm going on vacation like during Thanksgiving. I'll be gone for like over a week and a half, so it's like I won't have enough time to play it before I leave. So I won't play it till after, and at that point I might just wait till release. I don't know. I really don't know. but I would like to get my hands on it because it seems like everyone else is having fun. And I'm getting some mad FOMO. I'll say that much. But the only thing I've been playing for what you got for me is that I played more Dark Souls just the one time in the past week, and I changed my mind. I actually really enjoy Dark Souls way more than I did the first time. I had to find the rhythm for the game, but now I'm excited to retry Dark Souls 3 because I never beat it, even though I put like 10 to 12 hours into it. So the Souls games continue. Do we throw in projects still? I got a video essay coming out. Should be Friday, if not Monday or Tuesday, that I'm very excited about. This time it's not game related though, so I won't talk about that.
Wait, are you gonna do like a tease of it and put your timeline up so I can zoom in again and see what clips are on the timeline?
I will not this time. I'll just shadow drop it.
Dang it. Right. Gage, what you got for me? Even though I'm gonna regret this by reading this first line here.
Yeah, so I played and finished Halo Infinite. There's no battle royale, so there's no long-term content to really sink your teeth into. It's just the same 4v4. Who cares? Who gives a shit? So that was fun for like an hour. It was cool. It was neat.
Yeah, you didn't rank up once though, right?
No. Neat little game. I'm gonna change my order because I've been playing Halo Infinite and it's fucking amazing. Forza Horizon 5 is awesome. It is crazy. And like you say, Ro, like when you're talking about how it's the perfect game to just sit and zone out to, and like I can't agree with you more. Like that's where I've been catching up on podcasts. I've been doing this, but you just sit and you drive. The game's immaculate. It looks incredible. It's just good. It's a good time. I love it. It's a good time. Still playing Hades. I got my first run through. Did not beat the final boss. So that was
you got him. You got to.
I got to him, and then was promptly sent back to where I came. Yeah, it's tough. Oh, the shield's awesome though. I took your suggestion. I tried the shield, and I ran with it for like the next 5 runs. I didn't get to the end with it. I still used the blade with the health back boon. It's good stuff. And then finally, Halo Infinite, which. Before we get into everything we get into, I'm going to take this time to say that the core gameplay of Halo Infinite is perfect. 10 out of 10 would not change anything. I, like Dan, have been playing Halo since I was a wee little fetus, and Halo 2 and Halo Reach are my favorite games. Halo Reach is the one that I played like how Rashan plays Animal Crossing. Like I just totally into it every day, every moment spare I had it. And this game feels like Halo 2 and Reach had a beautiful little baby, and it's so good. I love it. And like you say, the grappling hook, the crazy moments, fun with friends. It's good, so good. It's not like Halo 3. It's like Halo 2, but it's okay. Halo 2 is a superior one. It's
wait a minute. Did Halo 2 have equipment? Oh, wow! It didn't. It didn't. Did
Halo 3 have a lot of Keith David? No, it didn't, Dan.
What? Where does Halo Infinite have Keith David yet? I haven't seen any Arbiter.
That's where Reach comes in.
All right, move. All right, anyway.
Wait, hold on. Before we actually get into the topic of the show, I have one thing for Gage.
Yeah.
Artemis Boone to start the game, the Hades run. Pick up the dodge deflect.
Yes, dodge deflect is dodge deflect is what I go with. I love dodge deflect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Back to Halo.
All right. Dodge deflect. Moving into the topic of the show, guys. 20 years of Halo and Xbox. There was a celebration event on Monday, but we have a bunch of Xbox-related news stories, so I think I'll just probably power through a couple of these because we're already running late, and we don't really have to spend a ton of time on them. Microsoft Windows Store is becoming more Steam-like, guys, and what does that mean, you might say? Well, that means the Microsoft Store is now allowing you to get to previously restricted game files folders, which is very important for modders on PC, of course, for them to access, game files to swap them out and add mods and make them super cool and crazy. So this is a big step, I feel like, for Microsoft Store to kind of, position itself as more of a competitor to Steam. Not just a competitor, but like an alternative to Steam, because of course all of Microsoft's games come on Steam and on Microsoft Store, but that is a very well welcomed change for them on that front. So yeah, I think that's awesome.
It's bigger. That's just real quick. That's bigger than it seems. That's huge. That is awesome.
Yeah.
You've not been able to mod your files at all, and now you have full access. So, kudos, Microsoft. That's huge.
Yeah. So the next story is a little bit bigger story that I thought was interesting. It's apparently 2 new Xbox exclusives are reportedly leaked, including a single-player Southern Gothic adventure. The names of the titles right now, or code names, are Midnight and Pentiment, and are reportedly coming from Compulsion Games, of course, the creators of We Happy Few, and Obsidian. What the fuck? How many games is Obsidian making? My God, what the hell's going on over there? Are they giving them like some freaking Wheaties or something over there? Like, no, but in all seriousness, Compulsion's first game with Microsoft is codenamed Midnight, is reportedly a third-person game set in a dark, fantastical world. The protagonist, seen below in the middle section of the concept art, is a dark-skinned woman with braided hair, and the picture on the right shows a harpy creature going through various stages of transformation. The picture on the left looks like it could be a harpy nest. It looks very, like, ominous and creepy, and I kind of like it. It looks looking good, this concept art. And then the second game comes from Obsidian, which is codenamed Pentiment, and it is a 12-person team that is developing this game, led by Josh Sawyer, who previously worked on Fallout New Vegas and Pillars of Eternity. If he worked on Fallout New Vegas, okay, yes, please. But it draws inspiration from games like Disco Elysium and will be a narrative RPG rather than a combat-focused one. So similar to Grounded, we have another tiny team at Obsidian making a cool little game. Christian?
Read the next sentence.
The game is reportedly, yes, a murder mystery set in the 16th century in which players will be able to investigate and accuse other characters in the game. However, these accusations have consequences. If you're wrong, then a snowball effect occurs. The game will slowly unfold into a full-blown conspiracy.
Whew, that sounds awesome. That sounds amazing.
Cool. Yeah.
Sounds dope.
The fact that it takes inspiration too from Disco Elysium, which is probably one of like the best written games I've ever played. I never finished it, so that's like one thing against me, I guess. Yeah, this sounds fantastic. I am super jazzed about this. I had no idea about this until you linked this, Dan.
Yes. Yeah, it's super cool. Like, Obsidian continues to knock it out of the park too, so like I am down for whatever they want to make. Let them make whatever they want to make. Oh, so good. So I guess moving into our anniversary live stream reactions, I live streamed my reactions, and it was cool to see. Like, there was some cool moments in there, and The Rock was kind of there revisiting, poking fun at himself because he originally unveiled the Xbox next to Bill Gates back in 2001. But it was just a cool walk down memory lane, so to speak, until the end, but we'll get to that in a second. But they did announce that 76 new games are being added to the backwards compatibility library, and they also confirmed that this would be the last batch of games added due to licensing, legal, or technical restraints for any missing titles. So I think this is great that, like, final hurrah for backwards compatibility. Here's 76 last games that we're bringing back and allowing you to play from now moving forward. And the only games left, they're saying, is just due to legal, licensing, technical reasons. So obviously this is it. This is our backwards compatibility, and like, definitely applaud them. They did a fantastic job with backwards compatibility. When Phil Spencer announced that at E3, that was a huge, unveiling for them, for, I guess, goodwill for the fans after the whole Xbox One debacle. But yeah,
there's a specific game I want to check out. I want to shout out on here. I was lucky enough to get the Xbox 360 at launch, 2005. I did not deserve it as a spoiled little kid, but they added the outfit, which is this super obscure B tier launch title for the 360. And I forgot that game existed until I just saw it listed here. And I'm all kinds of excited. I highly recommend everyone check this game out just for a weird trip down memory lane, because this game, it's like a pandemic type B tier launch game for the 360. And oh my god, that's amazing. I can't believe they added that. That's awesome.
What game?
The Outfit.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Okay.
I was confused for a second, but now I understand. But wait, yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
I got excited to see Skate 2 get added, and then I saw that they're also shutting down servers in like 3 weeks. So I was like, damn.
Perfect timing. Although, I mean, you'll still be able to play the single player portion of it at least, right?
I do not own an Xbox.
Oh.
Otherwise, yes.
Well, no, Christian, the cloud on your PC. Boom.
It's true. The cloud.
Could I do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I play backwards compatible games through the cloud?
As long as they're supported. I'm not 100% sure what the list looks like, but there is a list, I think, of backwards compatible cloud games. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
You got me thinking now, Dan.
Yeah. Dang straight. All
I want to
right.
do some research on this.
So that was the first part. And then we moved into the Halo TV series tease that we got. My God. Yes, please. But also it was like, you're teasing me so hard. I need more. Like, give me more. The Master Chief's armor looks crisp. It looks so good. Phenomenal. Why is Gage shaking his head no?
We've talked about this, Dan. Don't get your hopes up for the TV show.
Gage.
Don't get your hopes up for the TV show. This is the prophet talking to you, not Gage. I love Halo. This is the guy who told you about Rockstar and the remakes and Splinter Cell, which hasn't come to pass yet, but you remember that. The TV show's not going to be good. I'm sorry.
What? How are you saying that? We haven't even seen anything from it yet.
The casting call for that one character that they added that totally undoes the entire world building and lore.
I'm gonna wait till I actually see the show before
That's
I
fine.
say it's the
I'm
worst
just telling
show
you.
ever.
I'm just giving you. I didn't say it's the worst show ever. It's just not gonna be good.
Visually,
just letting you know.
Okay, visually it got me very excited, guys. Does that make you better?
Visually
okay.
it did look. It did look interesting. Yeah.
All right, and then
I saw this and I was like, damn, it really is Dan's day today, isn't it?
Yeah.
This day was made just for him.
And then Cortana whispering to him, "Hello."
I love that they got her. Yeah. That was good. I bet you they were probably filming the scenes and they're like, no, we need Cortana. We need the real Cortana.
No, she was actually voicing Cortana the whole time, but she actually had to come in to do the physical part, right? Am I thinking?
No, I think they had a young British actress that was doing Cortana. I don't think she was speaking an accent, but I remember reading it because I was like, who's the new Cortana? I think she was doing full performance, and then they brought in a real Cortana.
I thought Cortana was CG, and they brought the chick in to play Dr. Halsey. Am I wrong in that?
I don't know. It was IMDb, and it said Halsey / Cortana, which would make sense for what she is, but could be wrong.
Okay, yeah. Either way,
it's great to hear her voice, though. That's the thing. That's what I'm getting at. It was great to hear her voice.
Yes, agreed. Moving on before Ro and Christian kill us. The last thing they announced, of course, was that Halo Infinite was dropping immediately, which was awesome to see the multiplayer dropping. Obviously, campaign's still coming December 8th, and they're calling it a beta until then for the multiplayer. But it's cool to have like the entire multiplayer suite there. Just stealth dropped and sort of stealth dropped. It was kind of leaked, but.
I was gonna ask you if you were believing the rumors, because I know it was like supposed to be like a leak or a rumor that it was coming, but
yeah, I'll tell you.
Did you expect it?
I'll tell you the one that convinced me was when I saw it on, and there's a funny story about this too. When I saw it on Pringle's website counting down to Monday, I was like, okay, if Pringle's is putting this on here that it releases this day, then it has to. But apparently there's a whole story with this. Apparently, Pringles was just counting down to some promo that they were doing with Halo Infinite that was also happening to occur on the same Monday. So I guess the marketing people at 343 were like freaking out in studio because they're like, we didn't even tell Pringles we were doing this and they're ruining our surprise. But yeah.
Wow.
It's funny. But yeah, and for a game that has no battle royale, it had 200,000 plus concurrent players on Steam alone on launch day. So, weird how that works. But also we've got so much coverage, guys. Game Informer had the cover reveal for Halo Infinite. IGN First all month long is covering the game. I saw 5 minutes of new gameplay today that IGN dropped, which showed off the new skimmers, which are new enemy type, which was pretty cool. And yeah, everything I've seen thus far on both the GI stuff and IGN stuff has me immensely excited for the campaign, and I still believe it's going to be really fucking good. And it's just showing very well with everything I've seen thus far. And I probably took in too much content because there were some light spoilers. They played the first 4 hours of the game, but I'm fine with it.
You watched?
I watched every single thing because I'm like, I need to see some campaign.
Why?
But it really wasn't. The light spoilers were inconsequential, and like they're things that I would have been like, yeah, okay, I already kind of expected that. So it wasn't anything, anything surprising.
As long as you're happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yes, I'm very happy. Gage, what were your impressions of the GI and IGN stuff?
I didn't watch too much. I am trying to go in fairly blind for the campaign. I did watch, I think it was IGN's multiplayer gameplay, and it was certainly a treat to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Doom all over again.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but I haven't watched too much of the campaign stuff. I'm purposely trying to go in as fresh as possible when it comes to the story.
Yeah, which is fair. As soon as I saw they only played the first 4 hours, I was like, I'm fine. Anything they revealed to me here, it's not gonna break anything, and it didn't for me. I'm okay.
For sure.
So, yes. Christian Rowe, have you guys been watching this coverage? Are you guys any more excited about the campaign for Halo Infinite multiplayer? What are your guys' thoughts?
I haven't seen a single minute of campaign game besides, I don't know, when they showed it off the second time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw some. I've been watching some streamers play the multiplayer, but I haven't seen any more campaign stuff. I still have to beat Halo 2, Dan. I still have to beat Halo 2. What am I doing watching Halo Infinite campaign gameplay?
Call me up.
Yeah, I mean, after playing multiplayer, like playing more Halo, so maybe I will.
I told you the way to do it. Play it on easy. Call me up. We'll freaking power through that campaign in no time.
I want to talk to you guys about the multiplayer and your issue, because I just want to hear. Because I know you guys love it, but I know there's some like underlining. If that's the next story, of course. If there's something else before.
This is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah,
bro.
me too.
This is what I want to hear about.
All right, we were just stringing you along, but I guess we'll move into it. Halo Infinite's, so this is our biggest, point of discussion right now, and Halo Infinite's Battle Pass is definitely a divisive one right now. Obviously, 343 was applauded when they announced their Battle Pass in terms of you can keep it forever once you buy it, you can progress through it whenever you want. But little did anyone know it was going to take like 3 years to progress through the Season 1 Battle Pass. But no, that's a joke, but that's a little
I have believed you for a second.
No, that's a little too crazy. It's not going to take 3 years. But anyways, yes, the issues right now, progression is too slow. You don't get XP gains on a per match basis. You get XP solely based on challenges. And one of my problems with the challenges is like they're not like simple challenges or like challenges that you can get any match. Like these challenges are very specific, so like you have to be in a big team battle match with a wraith on the map in order to get to destroy a wraith. Like that's one of the challenges, and like that's so specific, and you don't think that's a big deal, but wraiths are already like very rare in big team battle, which is a whole nother issue that I have with big team battle, that they drop in the most powerful vehicles at the very last second of big team battle. I'm just like, no, let us enjoy these vehicles. I want to enjoy them. So that those are a couple of problems that I had, and I think Gage as well has. There's another problem that I personally have, and me and Gage differ slightly in this respect. The armor coatings I personally am okay with. Armor coatings are like things that have colors already attached to them, and textures, and all of these minglings that make up a armor coating, so to speak.
Like shaders.
I'd say a full body shader is a great way to put it.
Yeah,
full body shader. Yeah.
Yes, and like my issue isn't with that. My issue is there are coatings that you can only use with specific armor sets. So I'll give you an example. They have some really cool armor coatings in the store for the HCS Halo Championship Series, which is their pro teams. There's like, I think 9 different teams on there that all have their own designs, and they all look really cool. They look banging. But I really liked the Cloud9 one, so I picked it up, and I was like, this is cool. And then I put it on and realized I can't change any of my Spartan's armor. I have to use the Spartan armor that is attached to that coating. So like it's a whole set, and I'm like, I don't like that. I want to have the coating separate from all of the armor so I can pick what armor I want with that coating. But again, these are all like cosmetic things. So like those things, like in terms of our armor coatings, can be fixed eventually, and they're not the end of the world. For instance, like, yes, it would be great to be able to express myself the way exactly I want to, and that's the way Halo always has been. However, like, gameplay is, king at the end of the day, and it's fantastic gameplay. So, but anyways, so that's why I kind of push that off a little bit. There are some other issues that I have, like the Banshee feels a little weak and underpowered, whereas the Wasp, which is the UNSC flying vehicle, it feels very, very good, I feel like, or at least somewhat better than the Banshee. So yeah, just specific things like that, but like that's nitpicking. And yeah, Gage, I'm gonna pass it to you on your thoughts on progression, and obviously it's very slow. Very slow.
It is slow, yeah. So I agree with you in terms of core gameplay. The only issues I have are small little nitpicks, and I actually, I can't even think of any off the top of my head. So gameplay, I think they absolutely nailed it, and I think they deserve a lot of kudos for that, because I don't think anyone was expecting that. I think people were expecting it, hoping it was going to be good, but that was going to satisfy one of the camps, either the classic fans or the modern fans, and what they did in terms of game design to please both was super unexpected, and it absolutely works. Like, I love the fact that sprint's in the game, but sprint's only like something like 2% faster than walking, so it's not even really necessary. There's aim down sights, but it doesn't change the accuracy of your weapon. Lots of really smart compromises, so they deserve a lot of credit for that. I'm saying this before I bash them for customization. So I think it is just, like I say, the Larry David in me, where I get more annoyed at something if I can see the reason behind it, and the reason is something that I disagree with. So again, like you said, Dan, from Halo 1, which launched in 2001, from then all the way up until this game, we've been able to choose the colors of our Spartan. And now, all of a sudden, the first Halo with a battle pass, suddenly you can't do that. Suddenly the armor coatings are so, I forget what they said, something about this, it's so complicated and we use lots of different layers and materials, so we just can't edit them, sorry. Which I'm like, well, that probably doesn't make sense, because how do you make them yourselves? Anyways, that's besides the point. It's a small symptom of a larger problem, which is that this is the first Halo that we are seeing that lives in this live service environment. And what effect does that have on a game where, customizing your Spartan and expressing yourself has been a core staple? Like, how do those two things coexist? And what I've seen, and what I think the overwhelming majority of the community has seen, is that they don't coexist at all. It's not, at least not in its current state. So you've got something like somebody pointed out on the subreddit, which, by the way, is filled with everybody rationally and calmly, legitimately. Like, no, people aren't being
really?
assholes about it. No, yeah,
okay.
legitimately.
I was joking.
Just tons of posts where you see 343, please, this needs to be addressed, or 343, here's an alternative. I think it's pretty clear that the community most of the community is thinks there's a problem here, and that's because you have things like the color gray. If you want a flat gray armor coating, that's tier 99. So get to challenges, get to challenges, right? And I think the compromise that I have, that a lot of people, and I'm not going to claim that I've made this up, a lot of people have been saying this, is that the way that these two things can coexist is that you have these armor coatings, which are, colors, primary, secondary, tertiary, displaced how they are. You can't change it. You can't change the materials of it, but you can change those colors, right? If there's an armor coating that is, all black except he's got a red stripe on his shoulder, well, you can make it white and blue, or you can make it green and yellow, but it stays how it is. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see. I don't think that we'll get that. I think that's too much of a compromise, but I do have an issue with that. And it's just because it's for the purpose of the battle pass, and it's against the identity of what Halo is, which is expression, make your Spartan how you want to make them. Well, now you have to unlock these armor pieces in this order along with everybody else. And I hope your favorite color is near the beginning of the battle pass, because if not, you're out of luck.
Well, my hope is, at least, is that it is released right now as a beta, so they are doing it to hopefully improve some of these, get feedback from people in terms of the battle pass and customization, because it seems like it's not, from what you're saying and from what I've seen on Twitter, just not the best that it could be right now. So let's hope by the time December 8th rolls around that those tweaks have been made, or steps are in progress to fix those at that point.
Yeah, I'm not the hugest or the biggest Halo guy or in the community as much as you or as much as Dan and Gage are, but my biggest gripe with it is the battle pass so far, and I feel like most games do it this way, where the challenges are always a bonus to your XP, not the sole way of leveling up. So that was a little confusing as to why I have to do something so specific. And as Dan alluded to or said earlier, that these things are so specific and also so dependent on chance and luck. It has to do with skill once you get it to actually appear, but getting it to appear in the first place is so random and just up to the game itself. And I just wish that I wish it was more medal based and performance based, and then the challenges were just a bonus. If I'm doing amazing, which will never happen, but if I have a good game and I'm doing double kills and a Slayer and for some crazy, I'm having a great game, and then I just don't do any challenges, then I didn't do anything on my battle pass. It's still there, which is, I think, the biggest issue that's in the game right now, which again is kind of good because the game is good. That's the thing that's the biggest issue, which is something they can fix. And Dan, I think you tweeted on Twitter that they have been looking at this feedback and are planning to make small fixes at least as soon as next week or something like that. I don't know if it's this specific issue, but they are looking at the feedback, which is great.
Yeah. Well, and sorry, just real quick, just that hypothetical isn't even a hypothetical, because Dan and I were actually playing this past weekend, or this I guess would have been Monday. And Dan was being Dan the Wheelman Dan and driving me around, and I was in the back of the Warthog. He and I were at the top of the leaderboard. You only get half the points for being a wheelman, unfortunately. I think you should get the full points for the kill, but that's maybe not the full kill, but the full points for it. Anyways, I had 25 kills, 3,000 score, whatever. Dan was right below me, and he had a little bit more than half that because of how it divvies out the assists and all that stuff. And because I didn't get my fifth kill with the battle rifle, I got nothing for that match. I didn't get anything. Nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Christian. Starting. No, I would say that's probably the only negative thing about having the battle pass not expire, is that they have to figure out a way to keep players invested in order to maintain that. They have to tweak it. I mean, what's the alternative here? I guess to fix it is just to have challenges that are not as specific. I would suppose. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah. And the weird thing is the way they do it in Master Chief Collection, you get match XP and you get it based on your performance in the match, medals, Ro was talking about. That's how Master Chief Collection works. So it is a little surprising that they it's almost, in my mind, I see it as them just having oversight, I guess, for how Infinite's progression system was laid out. Personally, I don't think it was anything malicious or anything tied to necessarily the free-to-play part of the game and microtransactions and such. I think it was more oversight on their behalf as far as the progression system goes. And it's almost like that, doing something different just for the sake of doing something different. Like Master Chief Collection does it so well, just do it like Master Chief Collection. There's challenges and match XP. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something they're listening to. I don't think that customization will be addressed by launch. I just don't think that's feasible because it's such a big part of the game. But I definitely think they will take that feedback into next year and make changes to the customization to kind of make, a middle ground for people. Because like Gage said, there are a lot of people that are upset about customization, which is fair. But yes, as Ro was saying, they have already addressed the Battle Pass progression. And John Unishek, who's community manager for 343, he already said on Twitter, this was a statement from 343, to start, we'll be adding play one game challenges to help make sure you consistently progress through the Battle Pass by playing matches the way you want. So essentially, you just have to play a match to get this challenge completed, which is exactly what we want, match XP. And also, we'll also be adjusting, fixing bugs with, and removing some weekly challenges based on your feedback. That's kind of the ones that I was talking to you about, like killing specific vehicles and all these other weird ones that you're just like, how do you do that? These tunings to challenge difficulty will help you progress through weekly challenges faster and thus directly speed up your progress through the Battle Pass. When we make this update, we'll need to reset your challenges, including your progress towards weekly ones. To make up for this reset, we're granting everyone this week's ultimate reward, Sigil Mark 7 visor, to everyone who logs in from November 23rd to November 30th. Additionally, we will be doubling the duration of double XP boosts to now last 1 hour as opposed to 30 minutes. We hope this helps people get the most out of them, especially during those longer BTB sessions. Oh, I love that. And we'll be watching these changes closely to make sure they have the positive impact we all want on your progression. This is only our first step, and we are committed to continue evolving these systems, but it will take time. Thank you for joining our beta and keep the feedback coming. So it's awesome that they're already addressing many of these concerns with the progression system, and obviously they're still tweaking it. So when I use my 306 double XP tokens now, I get 1 hour for each one of them. I'm not kidding. I have 306 double XP tokens.
It's a one when I log in next week.
It's a very good first step in a 50-yard dash. It is. I'm happy with this stuff. It is unfortunate to see how they're. I don't know. I can kind of see how they don't want to budge on this because the update we got was, well, we know you guys don't like challenge-based XP, so we've made the challenges a little bit easier. As opposed to, they didn't give us any concrete answer on whether they're looking into per match XP, per medal XP, which is, again, what a lot of people want.
They did say per match XP that they were looking into that a while ago. That was on one of their progress reports for the flighting.
Yeah, I did read that one. In that same paragraph, they say that they're looking into it. However, we would feel really confident in the challenge XP. So that one was a wishy-washy for me. But yeah. It is good to see feedback so early because there's a lot of developers that don't give any feedback. Looking at you, Rockstar, you scream yelling at a brick wall when it comes to trying to get a response from Rockstar. So I love the communication that they have with the community, and this is a good first step. I like we've all said, the core gameplay is absolutely perfect. It's awesome. It feels really fun to play, and I'll be playing it no matter what. A lot of people just wish that it was a bit more rewarding to work towards stuff while playing it.
Yeah. It's fair. Moving into our last story, guys. I just added this as a cool little nod here. I thought it was pretty cool. The Halo Infinite Series X, if you use a black light, you can see a hidden Easter egg on the Series X, which is really cool, where you see a Zeta Halo symbol in the middle of the stars on the console, which is just
on the front?
Cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
Use a black light. Yeah, that's really cool. Which unfortunately I was supposed to get mine today, don't have it yet.
You still didn't get yours, eh?
Yeah, FedEx
Oof.
has it in limbo somewhere, so hopefully that
I
comes
took it.
soon. Yeah. Christian.
I used it to play Skate 2.
Yeah.
Skate 1.
Let me tell you, Dan, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's sitting right there. Right there.
Gage. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right. Anything else before we close out the show, guys? This has been a long one. I apologize.
I will download Halo Infinite for Dan.
Yes, let's go. All right, we all need to play. We all need to squad up together. It's cross-platform. We all squad up.
Dan and I and a couple of friends are all going to be on Friday night, so let's make it happen. Boys, join us. Pop in for a game or two. Dip your toes in the water. See if you like the temperature. Maybe come on in.
Yes. Yes.
I might.
Podcast PXN Halo Night. Never thought I'd utter with those words. Anyways, thank you again to everyone joining us both live on YouTube and on Twitch, as well as Twitter, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
I love you.